Ronnie Remedies, a Donald Trump delegate this week at the Republican National Convention. Opening ceremonies underway yesterday. What, in your mind, what was the best part of last night of all the speeches?
Well, I mean, even though she's taken a whole lot of criticism, I really was impressed with Melania and the way she introduced herself to the American people and really helped define who her husband was on a personal level.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean, introduced herself to the American people? What did she say that caught your ear, that made you think, that made you even more fond of her?
Well, up until this point, we really didn't know a whole lot about her, which other than what was just said on the surface. But her journey here from Middle Europe and through the process, the naturalization process. I mean, the process to become an American citizen, which is a lengthy process, and just to hear it come from her and how she was brought up and the love of her sister and her parents, and it just really made you bond with her a little bit more, so to speak. And the just when she started to define, I guess her husband was as a tough and solid, consistent, hardworking man. I believe that, and she helped try to paint who Donald Trump really is instead of what the other side would rather have you think.
Ronnie, where are y'all seated? Where's the Louisiana delegation when we're watching on TV? What side should we look? I know where the Texas folks are. I saw all the cowboy hats and the shirts. How close to them are you?
No, we're almost as far away from them as you can get. If you're looking at the stage, Texas would be on the far right. We're going to be on the far left, almost to the back of the room.
Okay, so you're not getting much TV time then?
No, not this time around. We're not getting much TV time.
Okay,
we had a pretty good review.
How electric was the room? Describe that for me.
Well, it was an up and down roller coaster last night of emotions. You had so many people with just so compelling stories and that had been through so much, and the pain that they felt and the emotion and the love that they felt for the country was real. So then you were brought up by Rudy Giuliani, who really gave a powerful brimstone and fire speech. Then comes the surprise when Donald J. Trump walks out. There's been a rumor of that going on, but we always know that Donald Trump does things his way, and he's not going to be told what to do just by political consultants. So, but when he stepped out on stage, there was definitely electricity in the air.
Let me ask you this, Ronnie. I heard part of it last night. I heard Sean Smith's mom. Sean Smith, if you're not familiar, one of the victims in Benghazi.
Mm-hmm.
His mom stood up there. I hadn't heard her speak. It almost brought me to tears at my home. What about you guys in the room?
No, it was. I can imagine it was much more powerful to be standing there just a few feet from her, and it was almost as if you could feel her pain. I mean, she was obviously still grieving. I don't know that you could ever get over that, but it was just everything about that was raw and real, and she felt compelled to come in front of all the people watching and tell everyone her story and how she felt like that it was because of lack of leadership in Hillary Clinton that all of this happened.
Ronnie, the most electric moment for me last night actually wasn't a speech at all. It was the delegates and the audience's reaction to Navy SEAL hero Marcus Luttrell when he came out. What amounted to about a 3 to 3.5 minute standing ovation. Was that? I can only imagine that was even more electric and moving and motivational, if you will, being in the room, being in the building.
Yeah, Governor Rick Perry gave him a great introduction and kind of told a little bit of his backstory and how he'd become close to him. And, some of the things that he had been through, you could tell by listening to this guy that this was not a polished, coached speaker. This guy just basically came out, took a microphone, and told us where his feelings were and how profoundly he felt about getting behind Donald Trump and how about the system and how much he loved his country. But he was almost begging the American voter on television and in the audience to change the broken system because he didn't feel like after he went and risked his life overseas, that when he came home, that anybody was here for him.
Specifically, he was talking about VA reform and the fact that the system seems to be so broken right now.
That's right. Yeah, I read between the lines, and what he was alluding to was the mental health care that they receive as veterans. And, Rick Perry said that he showed up at his home and really needed some help. And he didn't go into that probably for personal reasons, but, he said he got the help that he needed, and it seems to be better now. But, I think that if you look at the suicide rates of some of our veterans, it's really alarming. And it's as if we send them over there and put them through that, and we don't take care of them when they get back. So they're almost become disposable machines, and we can't think of them like that. We really need to take care of someone that's going to go risk their life so we can have all the freedoms that we have to do some of the silly things that people have been doing in the last few days here.
What are you most looking forward to today, Ronnie?
Well, probably a little bit more stabilization in the convention. Some of the shenanigans that we witnessed yesterday with the last-ditch efforts of the movement to maybe try to get another candidate's name on the ballot. I was talking yesterday with some of the other delegates, and I feel like that if we can't get along with one another in our own party, okay, how can we expect to reach across the aisle to the other party and get along? And if we can't get along with the other party, how can we get along with the rest of the world? So, a lot of this starts with us, and we have to look in the mirror and say, what can we do personally, start here in our own house, if we want to start talking to people around the world, or people across the aisle, or people that maybe don't look like us. So, a lot of things we need to do is look inside of each one of us individually and try to get along, and not worried about what's best for me, what's worried about the greater good for everyone.
Ronnie, one last question. As the actual balloting, as the actual voting, the nomination process gets closer and closer, have you heard anything among the delegates about the possibility of let's make this unanimous, Trump by acclamation? Is there anything, any kind of that kind of talk going around?
Well, I don't think that no matter what you do, there's always going to be some of the rules that were read yesterday that were the most, obvious, something that would be obvious that everyone would want. You still had a few knuckleheads in the crowd that would say no when they would call for a vote. And it was just people seeking attention. You see some of the extreme measures people will go through to ruin their whole life to get 5 minutes of fame. So something like this, I just don't think that'll ever happen. It's just there's too many people that want their 5 minutes of fame, and television seems to make that easy, and social media. One
more quick question. Speaking of television making something out of nothing, all we've heard about for the week, 10 days, 2 weeks leading up to the convention is protest. There could be violence. Do you get the sense being there that the whole thing about the protests and the possible violence and all these anti-Trump folks, is media making too much out of this?
Well, yeah, and it drives their ratings, but I think there was a couple hundred people that showed up near the stadium yesterday, although we only saw maybe 100 of them. We did have, right across from where we were having lunch yesterday, we had 3 masked men create some sort of huge disturbance in a restaurant across the street. And I was actually out taking a phone call and witnessed it, but it was within probably 120 seconds, maybe 3 minutes, there were over 100 police officers there, and they quickly diffused the situation and just were really intolerant of what these young men were doing, and they quickly put them in handcuffs and took them away. So we know that we're in good hands with the Cleveland Police Department and all the other agencies they have organized here, because it seemed like everything came together and there was multiple agencies involved.